The Cubs with a big series win against the Dodgers, and Sam was there. But wait, where is he? Did he get back in here for Monday's show?
I can't see. I'm so tired, but we're an 8-6 ball club. We're going to talk about it next.
Our Locked On Cubs, your daily Chicago Cubs podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
You are Locked On Cubs, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Alongside Sam Olber, I'm Matt Cozy. Please support the show and be a part of the Locked On Cubs community by following on all audio platforms. And you can watch, subscribe, and leave a comment on YouTube. Thanks so much for making us your first listen. Sam and I are lifelong fans, taking our passion into a discussion with you on all things Cubs. Today's episode is brought to you by Ultimate Pro Baseball GM. To visit and try Ultimate Pro Baseball GM, you can look it up in your Apple or Google Play stores. Our listeners get a 100% free boost to their franchise when using the promo Locked On. That's Locked On in all caps for Ultimate Pro Baseball GM. Pleased to be with you for a Monday episode, wherever and whenever you may be listening, as the Cubs are now 8-6 on the season. They won 8-2 Friday, lost 2-1 Saturday, and won the series on Sunday in a 3-2 game. We're going to recap it all right now. And Sam was there for 2 of the 3 games. Woo! So excited to be with you, and so much good stuff to talk about.
I leave for a few days and come back. You got a new setup. You look like you're Walter Cronkite. I mean, you look as professional as can be. I mean, was I gone for 6 weeks?
You're only gone like 2 days.
Oh my gosh. What do you want me to say, Matt? You want me to talk about my trip, the ball game, a little of everything?
Yeah, I think a little of everything, because I'd like to go game by game, honestly.
Yeah, so it was an incredible trip. I really enjoyed myself. I want to give a shout out to my cousin Scott, my buddy Connie. Just really good to catch up with them, and Scott was able to take me to the games, and we had a great time. He's a baseball savant himself. It was, and it's always, you always say this when you're at the game, because it's so different when you're there,
right?
Versus when you're watching from home. But were fun, well played baseball games that were very enjoyable. And yeah, I mean, the trip itself was fine, but I was there to watch my team play. And the first night, we could just go game by game. What were your thoughts? What were your thoughts first night? Now, and I'll tell you what it was like in the ballpark. I mean, felt like one of the best games I've been to in at least half of a decade.
Yeah, well, I thought Friday was just a dominating performance.
Yeah.
So enjoyable from start to finish. I was really locked in for every pitch of that game. Really embraced the late start, and enjoyed it even more than I thought I would. And it really did set the tone for the weekend.
Yeah.
I think that not only were we energized and excited, but the Cubs proved that they could play with a team that is expected to be better than them.
Yeah.
And to win by 6 runs in that convincing of fashion and really step on the gas in the latter part of the game was a thrill ride for me.
Yeah.
And I thought that, several guys stepped up, and it was just a great first game to get.
Yeah.
Because not only is it that 3-game set in LA, but it's a 6-game road trip in total. And like we talked about with Nick on Friday,
right?
If you win that first game, you start to put the greedy lenses on.
Of course.
What can we do on the road? Sure. 3-3. Let's split on the road.
Right.
You win that first game. I don't care that it's the Dodgers now, and I know how the other 2 games went.
Yeah.
But it really establishes a nice runway for the entire trip.
Yeah, my impression that day was I walked away saying that this isn't the Dodgers of old. They're going through some stuff right now.
Okay.
Their lineup wasn't that scary. We got to see Syndergaard. We just killed the ball. I mean,
Right.
out of the ballpark. Hap that day, I know he got switched over to
4 Rockets.
I thought one of the key parts of this whole series of why the Cubs didn't sweep it was Hap got switched righty, and he just hasn't had a lot of righty plate appearances so far this year.
Right.
So his swings there. Lefty, he looked as good as I've ever seen him look, and he looked like that in BP too, by the way. And it was just a great over game. My big takeaway that day was just a big time Justin Steele game, right? He goes into Dodger Stadium and he dominates. I think he gave up a homer to what was it, Chris Taylor and Muncy, I think, if I remember correctly.
Solo shots, yeah.
Yeah, and Muncy was the hottest hitter in the world coming into that series. So that game was just it was just beautiful across the board, outside of poor Dansby, who got a little exposed with his right on right changeup to Syndergaard. He couldn't hit that pitch. And then going into Saturday, that was really cool just to take you a little bit behind the lens.
Yeah, please.
So first of all, it's Jackie Robinson Day at Dodger Stadium.
Wow.
Which is electric. Jason Hayward gave I would say like a 2 to 3 minute speech pregame, which was really cool. And then his Jackie Robinson's granddaughter threw out the first pitch to Hayward.
Okay.
As far as that game goes, yeah, you and I texted a bit this morning when I was at the airport. That was a tough one. It's also hard for me to judge the game like I would when I'm there. It's just because when you're there, you empathize a little bit with the manager and the coaching staff because it goes so fast, right?
Yeah.
You're just like, I'm thinking to myself, the two things that were up for debate that game. First of all, Jameson Taillon comes back and throws beautifully, and he deserved to throw beautifully. And I said last week I felt like, he was getting a little bit hard done by. Love that we went right to lighter versus the lefties, dominant. Thompson dominant. The two things that are debatable, that one is I don't understand why Edwin Rios was hitting when you needed one run and the guy was at third with 2 outs and Madrigal's available. That was weird in the 7th. And then we go to the 9th, right? So the first question is would you have gone Thompson in the 9th? He was at 28 pitches. And the second question is do you walk Peralta to get to Barnes? But my thing was I don't know if Ross knew that Will Smith wasn't available. And I just think Michael Fulmer's a good pitcher and he gets paid a lot of money and he just made a terrible pitch to Peralta. The one thing I don't like is that they went out and talked to him and were like, hey, we're going to pitch around this guy. You either pitch to him or you don't. I don't like that half pitch, half whatever. That
Right.
You get yourself in trouble there. He just made a bad pitch. He was trying to go cutter low and in, and he threw one middle out. And by the way, the ball wasn't hit hard. He just hooked it in the right field. So it was a really frustrating game. Just real quick, after I don't know if people saw on my Instagram, but I was able to go on the field after the game through a friend of ours, which was really cool. So I was able to go on the field and take some pictures. Let me tell you something. You go out on a field, Matt, a big league field,
Yeah.
and you realize what I need to fungo a ball to get it from third to first. I mean, it is so large, the throw there. These guys. Anyway, so that was my take. But it was really that was a rough night for me because the loss was brutal, but the night itself was great. So that's where I was. But you go ahead.
Yeah, and I do even want to hear more from your in-park experience. I thought entering the game, you have an unknown pitcher on the other side in Michael Grove.
Yep.
But you get very little offense against him. Are you really going to win with one run on the road?
Right.
Mightily hard to do. But
right.
You get great pitching once again, really until the 9th when Fulmer allows those runs. So I have wavered a little bit since we texted earlier today.
Yeah.
I was of the mindset, about around midday that David Ross may have cost the Cubs another game. We've talked about the first one back on April 3rd at the Reds. I was ready to pull this one in there with that.
Yeah.
But I just don't think it was as egregious as that one.
No, I don't think so.
My thing is just simply you're up 1 with 1 out to play. Maybe you walk Peralta, set up a force out at any base.
Right.
And the next hitter is Barnes, who's literally 0 for the season.
Literally.
But Fulmer just struck out Hayward.
Right.
So he should he should, in theory, okay, you K up Hayward, you just get the next guy.
Right.
Because the base was open with Hayward as well, even though there was one out instead of two.
Sure.
So I've wavered a little bit. I just think the pitch hit sequence at the top of the seventh, while it was odd, I thought the sequence top eight with Happen Suzuki not coming through.
Huge. That was a
That's it.
game. Yeah, well, no, I agree. I said that.
That's
Yeah.
that's pretty much the game, right?
No, that's a game. And I know a lot of people are going to say, "Well, Sam, didn't you say all year that you got to win these type of games?" Yes and no. This isn't the Brandon Woodruff game. This isn't the Luis Castillo game. You said it. You're facing Michael Grove. No disrespect to him, but that's a game you're not scoring one run and winning. You got to find a way to get to him. And then bases loaded, one out. Again, all due respect, Caleb Ferguson, not one of their high leverage relievers, comes in and shuts down your top two guys. So I just didn't have a huge problem. And the other thing is, too, is I like to be as transparent as possible. And I don't like to manage in hindsight because anyone could do that. And when I was at the game, what I wanted to do, I'll be honest, I wanted to walk Hayward. I thought Hayward's contact scared me in that situation because he doesn't strike out a lot, even when he's struggling. And then you had the infield in, it opens. It's like kind of like Hosmer, opens up holes and makes him dangerous. So I actually wanted to walk Hayward, and then I thought you might get the double play with Peralta. So I can't come up here and sit here and say that they should have walked Peralta. I just think, we have a large voice and it's awesome. And we will be critical of David Ross, or I will be critical of David Ross when it's there. He blew that game against the Reds. That was egregious. I thought Saturday night was a player's loss. I thought that was a player's loss. I thought the players lost. I thought Ross put his team, his guys in the position to succeed, and it didn't work out. Now, there's some other stuff I'd like to talk about when we get a little bit later that needs to change. But Saturday night, I didn't go home saying Ross cost us another one. I just didn't. Right. I didn't have that vibe. But again, I'm at the game, so who knows what I would have been if I was sitting next to you watching it. It's just different. When you're at the game, you're not thinking as much about that stuff. You're just kind of enjoying yourself,
And here's the big twist. You lose that game and get a complete refresher on Sunday. Dodgers ace Julio Urias. You scratch across and run in the fifth. Back-to-back jacks, Wisdom and Bellinger in the sixth. Smiley pitches into the sixth. Alzolay, not sharp, but bailed out by Mark Leiter Jr., who might be one of the best relievers right now in the sport, much less the Cubs. And I'll have the numbers to prove it later this week. And then Fulmer a bounce back, and Boxberger closes it out. I think Sunday's win is not only potentially a statement series, and I would love to put some kind of label on it, whether it's statement series or maybe even, despite their winning recently, somewhat of a true turning point to winning ways, to competitiveness.
Right. No, I think it's fair. In today's game, the way I look at it is it just evened out. The Cubs should have won Saturday night, and they should have lost on Sunday. Suzuki loses a ball in the sun. Alzolay wasn't great, but that really hurt him. I mean, that really hurt him. That should have been an out.
True.
And then Swanson botches a ball at short. Mancini botches a ball at first base. One of our runs is a little Luis Torrens, little nubber down the third base line. So it evened out. With Leiter, I think you got to give Ross a lot of credit for Leiter. I mean, now, granted, they cut him, so they all don't look great, and the rest of the league doesn't look great. But I'm just saying he's using him in spots for him to be successful. He's facing primarily lefties. That's his job. Everybody's talked about, well, we got no lefties. He is destroying lefties, and it's not
he's basically the lefty.
And it's not like when we were at the game on Saturday, and he came in. I mean, he blew away Freeman and Muncy. And then he did it again. I mean, Freddie Freeman, lefty, righty, reverse split, regular split, is as good of a hitter as there is in the world.
No, he's top 10
in the world.
Yeah.
And he couldn't see that pitch. That right on left splitter. And then it's so funny. And then he goes to Martinez, who's a righty, and he can't throw it. And then he gets the next lefty. So it was a really nice job. I thought Fulmer, give him credit. I mean, I don't care how much of a veteran you are. You come in, you blow a game last night, and you just come into the eighth, high leverage. He looked great. They're going to have to figure out the ninth. I don't know if it's Thompson. I don't know if I've always thought it might be Alzolay. I don't know who it is. It's not Leiter because he's a matchup guy. Or is it game to game? I don't know. But today was I agree. Sunday was a gut check victory. They could have easily rolled over facing a star pitcher. By the way, how about Drew Smiley?
Unreal.
Back-to-back really big-time outings. The Cubs just went 2-0. Drew Smiley versus Luis Castillo, who flirted with a perfect game on Sunday, by the way.
Right.
And then Drew Smiley versus Julio Urias. So that's big time. And by the way, we'll have the same matchup at Wrigley Field this weekend, Urias v. Smiley.
That's right. So Cubs win the series against the Dodgers. They did make a couple roster moves during this series, including getting Suzuki back. They also got Brandon Hughes to return. We're going to just do a roster update and try to go over who's in, who's out, who should still be in.
Sure.
Why is this person still here?
Right.
We're going to do that coming up next. Today's episode is brought to you by Ultimate Pro Baseball GM. This is the coolest game we've played in a long time. We've always thought we could be great Major League GMs. As it turns out, it's not all that easy. This game allows you to manage every strategic aspect of a franchise, playing through seasons and leading your franchise and fans to glory as you build a historic dynasty. In this simulation, you're responsible for hiring the right coaches and staff, scouting and drafting players, and navigating your franchise through free agency and all the ups and downs of a season. Locked On Cubs listeners get a 100% free boost to their franchise when using the promo Locked On in the game store. So make sure to check it out. To download the game, just visit probaseballgm.com, scan the code, or look it up in the Apple and Google Play stores. That's probaseballgm.com for Ultimate Pro Baseball GM to start your dynasty today. Welcome back to Locked On Cubs. Thanks for making us your first listen every day. We are celebrating a Cubs series win over the Dodgers as the Northsiders are now 8-6 on the season. Prior to Friday's game, Seiya Suzuki was activated. Miles Mastro sent to AAA. And then prior to Saturday's game, Brandon Hughes was activated. And they got back to 13 pitchers, 13 position players as Nelson Velasquez was sent down to AAA. Cody Bellinger still due for the paternity list soon. Edwin Rios remains on this roster. Luis Torrens remains on this roster, Sam. So just to recap for everybody, I got a few phone calls from Sam over the weekend. One was actually Thursday upon arrival. Friday, I missed a call of his because I was at my own game. And then Saturday, I want to say it was inside 30 minutes of the first pitch, I got a call from Sam in the stadium. Literally, I could hear the music in the background. And the call was not, hey, I just met this person. Hey, this, hey, that. Literally, the phone call inside 30 minutes of first pitch was about Luis Torrens.
I was so confused because I was a little out of the loop. I just assumed Torrens was gone. And then I realized he wasn't. I have a few things on the roster, and I'll go straight to some moves and then some playing time stuff. I don't understand. My only thing with Torrens is I think they face some lefties coming up in Oakland, so maybe they buy him time and then he goes.
Yeah, they face one Monday, but that's it.
Oh, yeah. No, I don't get it. I just don't get it at all. I'm not going to pretend I do it. I'm not going to speculate why. Rios I get, but they never play him. I'll let you handle the roster stuff. This is what I want to say.
Okay.
The Cubs are 14 games in. And I believe that they have proven, and I said it last week, that they are not going to be a bad team. How good are they going to be? I don't know yet. But what they have proved, they've proved us right when we talked about that they have a pretty high floor. What they have to work on now is increasing their ceiling. And I don't want to pick on guys, but the Hosmer-Mancini thing is really bothering me, and I'm going to relate it to roster move stuff because Hosmer's been exactly as expected. He hits the ball on the ground every time. Sometimes it finds a hole. He plays fine defense. I'm fine with him. I said this last week, and people are starting to catch on. Trey Mancini is lost right now against lefties, against righties, and defensively. And I understand he has a track record. I'm not advocating to cut him. But these games are important. And you have a guy in AAA right now that has more walks than strikeouts, whereas Mancini has one walk to about 11 strikeouts. Yeah. And it's starting to get to that level where it's starting to feel it's being overdone. Okay.
Sure.
Every time a righty pitches, Mr. Mervis should be in the lineup. And okay, well, who goes? That's what I'm fine. I'm assuming Terens goes soon in some capacity. And then if the other person goes for Mervis, if it's Rios, it's fine. Just the reason I like Rios is because of his power. It increases this team's ceiling. So if you're gonna get rid of him, bring Mervis up. We need ceiling raisers right now. Mancini has an OPS close to under 5. He's not swinging it well. He's not fielding it well. Let him figure it out in limited at bats. And if he can, he can. I get he's on a 2-year deal, but that's that's my big roster takeaways.
Yeah.
Enough is enough. Okay. He's dropping balls. He's not scooping stuff. He's not ready to play right now. And you got to put him in spots to be successful to help the team win. And there's a guy, you're telling me that lineup doesn't look better versus a righty if you bury Hosmer late in the lineup and put Mervis 5 or 6 with the way Bellinger's swinging the bat, who, by the way, I'd like to give a shout out to. He looks the part. He's going to continue to hit.
Yeah, I hope so. No, I watch his at bats with full attention. Yeah, I want to dedicate more time to Mervis. I really do.
Yeah.
I would like to maybe do that as the week moves along, because I did tweet from the show account that I think Thursday is a landing spot for him. As soon as Thursday, probably later. But especially if this Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday goes down like I think it should, my greediness as a fan is only going to continue.
Right.
And not only that, but you just eloquently stated again, these players that are here, you shrug your shoulders at.
Right.
So if one is doing better on the farm, and there's now becoming a track record of he could hit at a high level, he could field at a replacement level, push is going to come to shove.
Right.
And I did the math today because I'm a dedicated fan. I'm a dedicated host. Service time manipulation was done on Friday. So now you're under where he gets a whole extra year of control. So it's not a service time thing. No,
Right.
Take your conspiracy and keep it on your side of the street, because they could bring up Matt Mervis anytime now, anytime.
Right.
And would love to see it sooner than later. And it elevates just the whole back end of the roster, because the back end is still weak. You know, right now you have your backup catcher that day, either Barnhart or Gomes, Madrigal, Rios, Terens. It's not very good.
Right. Yeah, it's about. It's not even as much Mancini as it is who he's keeping away. Like, if you're going to block this guy, you got to perform. If even Terens, Mervis could come up and you could keep it's just why are these guys on the team? Why are these guys not? So
Right.
It's odd. It's weird, but it's all good discussion, because the Cubs might be good. And if the Cubs might be good, you don't want to be 2-3. You don't want to finish 3 games out and look and be like, well, we waited until May with Mervis, and Mancini had an OPS of 527 in April. And it's like, well, we could have changed things there.
Right.
You want to maximize winning games. You're playing an Oakland A's team, and you want to win. And so that was my takeaway. I'll catch up on all the details tomorrow, because I was kind of, like I said, in and out of the loop. I was posting Twitter videos like crazy.
Yeah, those were classics.
Yeah, I was dodging trees. Scott was giving me a flashlight as we're walking to the car, and I'm, dodging cars and trees just to let you know that, we didn't. There's some things we could do better.
You were mostly excited, though.
Oh no, I was
ecstatic. Yeah.
No, it was I don't travel much because I don't like flying and I don't like people. This was like an ideal trip for me. Going with somebody I like and watching my favorite team. That's traveling for me. I really enjoyed it. I did get chirped a lot after game 2. A lot. And
because you had a Cubs shirt.
I had a Nico Horner shirt on. He continues to sting the baseball. He looks as comfortable up there as me at the Hawthorne Mall massage chair.
Oh, okay.
And people were, hey, there's always next year. And I just had to
What?
had to keep my cool.
Right.
Just got walked off, was heading down to the field, right?
Yeah.
So I'm not gonna, but boy, did I want to fight because I could fire back.
Right.
And I didn't. I just laughed
I'm
and said,
proud of you.
congratulations. Really happy for you and David Peralta.
Okay.
Let me know where he finishes up at the end of the campaign.
So we're wrapping up Cubs Dodgers. We're going to preview Cubs and Athletics. We do that next. So Rare, a new sponsor here at Locked On Cubs, is a revolutionary fantasy baseball game at Marketplace, transforming fans and owners with officially licensed digital cards featuring players from across all 30 MLB teams. Unlike other fantasy baseball platforms, So Rare managers truly own their fantasy experience, collecting, buying, selling, and competing with player cards against global opponents to win epic rewards. Win or lose, you still own your cards, and there's no cost to play. Plus, the more you win, the more you advance, collecting increasingly powerful cards and accessing next level competition and rewards. Head to sorare.com/locked on. That's spelled SORARE.com to draft your team of free player cards, set your lineup, and start competing today. Again, that's sorare.com/locked on to start playing with So Rare today. Welcome back to Locked On Cubs. Thanks for making us your first listen every day. Big show here on a Monday, and the Cubs travel to Oakland and continue their West Coast trip. Northsiders 8-6 now on the season, and the A's have a football record, but not a good one, 3-13. We discussed on Friday's show, you want to get really greedy, and you want to not only win this series against the Dodgers, but A's are a bad club. They're the worst in the big leagues, and
Yep.
a good time if you have any cleaning equipment to maybe get the brooms out. And 14 games down now in April, Sam, 13 to go. We've discussed how racking up victories is important. You happen to be playing the worst team in baseball. Yes, it's on the road, but home road against an inferior of a club as this is should not matter. Probably shouldn't matter even a speck. The baseball reasons, it's a big ballpark, but nothing too out of the ordinary. Just overall a very favorable matchup.
Very favorable matchup, but I always tell you this: be wary of teams that are struggling because it's
Right.
baseball, and they're probably going to win 50 games at least, right? So
I would think.
So they're going to beat somebody,
Right.
and you have to do what you can to make sure that they gave the Mets problems today. That was an extra inning game.
Yep.
3-16. 3-16 is hard to do. I would love a sweep, but I am content with just winning another series. Just win another series because you've given yourself some cushion because you won 2 in LA. So just win another series and it's a great trip. Don't take him lightly. Obviously these guys don't, but stay locked in, hit. Huge Wisniewski start tomorrow. I would almost go as far as to say he's pitching for a spot on the team if he pitches poorly.
Yeah.
So lock in, find a way to keep the momentum going. I can't give you much A's preview because, I don't, that goes to be said, but
their leadoff hitter Ruiz is pretty good. That's about it.
But 3-13 is dangerous because these are professionals on the other side and they're difficult. So you got to make sure you're on your A game and continue to play good baseball. Sweep would be great, but make sure you don't have a major slip up and go from there.
Probable pitching matchups Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, respectively. Wisniewski v. Muller, Stroman v. Waldichuk, and Steele versus Kaprelian. First pitch times, Central Standard, 8:40, 8:40, and 2:37. And we'll plan to be live after that ball game Tuesday, exclusively on YouTube, and it'll be on your audio feeds as usual the following morning. All right, maybe we will keep the brooms at bay. We'll see what the Cubs can do this week.
Apologize if I look a bit fatigued. I haven't slept since Thursday.
Yes, and
I'll have more energy tomorrow. I'll be like a new person. I don't even know what's going on. Did Aramis have a good series?
Did Kenny Lofton steal any bags?
Derek Lee hit one to right center, and Ethier made the catch. What's going on?
And I'm trying to get to my camera not being mirrored anymore as I get
No,
into the
you look
21st century.
tremendous.
Okay.
You look like Walter Cronkite if he was a Kennedy.
I appreciate it. So join us all week here on the show. We'll also be live after Tuesday's ball game. Be sure to hit that subscribe button for Locked On Cubs on YouTube and smash the like button for all your favorite Locked On Cubs content as we defeat the algorithm together. Apple, Spotify, wherever you get your pods on the audio side. And you can drop us a text at 312-834-4634. Thanks for making Locked On Cubs your first listen every day. Now make your second listen Locked On Fantasy Baseball. Listen to Matt and Dom as they bring you the best fantasy strategies all season over at Locked On Fantasy Baseball. He's Sam Olber. I'm Matt Cozy. This is Locked On Cubs.